Welcome to the Sales Queen podcast, where we teach women how to turn their skills into sales and monetize their message so they can finally sell with the clarity, confidence, and certainty that they've always wanted to. No longer does the game of sales need to be an old boys club. It's time for you to sell like a queen. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sales Queen podcast. I'm here with Sandy Spady, a longtime friend of mine now and fellow Omaha resident. Super excited to be speaking about leadership, women's empowerment, sales, all the things today. Sandy is what I call a super connector, and you guys will hear today that she is just such an encourager and an encouragement. And every single room she walks in, she lights up the whole stage.
Megan, the
and I'm
same
so glad
feelings
to have
for
you, Sandy.
you.
So
I
thank you
think
so much for being here.
feathers that flock together fly together, right? And I just think we have a lot of the same passions and purpose for women and just for everyone just to be the best.
Amen. Well, let's kind of dive in. The first question we always ask everybody is your origin story. Obviously, that could be like a 3-hour monologue for a lot of people. So why don't you tell us the parts that you feel like are the most important that have kind of made you into the person that you are today, the leader and the
Awesome. Well,
woman
thank
that
you,
you are
Megan.
today,
I would say
and then we'll kind
when
of
I
go from
turned
there.
50, it was a big life change. And I realized that I have all this greatness that I could share, but something was holding me back. Some of my sunshine was being held back. And I decided that I wanted to just start over, make that different big leap for change, and to be the person that I was and be a better version of person who I knew I could be. And so when I did that life change, I decided just to take over Omaha. I moved here. I didn't know anyone, and that's when I do a whole speech on saying yes to opportunity, about meeting everyone and getting in that circle. I kind of giggle and I say when I move, I just take over cities because there's so many amazing organizations that you can be a part of to really meet the right people. And in that beginning, I was also getting ready to write a book. And I had the green light to go. You can either have a green light, yay, you have a great purpose and passion, it's going to sell, we can get it out there. Yellow lights like, whoo, hold it, not quite sure. And then the red lights like, whoo, start over. And so I still remember that morning. It was almost a year ago because I had a memory come up on Facebook, which is so interesting how they know everything. But I had an email that said from my media attorney that I cannot publish, post, or speak. And that was like a gut suck. And I put in 30,000 words, almost a year of my life. I just resigned at my dream job at the Greater Omaha Chamber. And I told myself, okay, this could be a make it or a break it, build it or just knock me down. And I told myself my passion really with this book was to touch women, to get unstuck and make a change. And I just started this amazing group called Women with Voices. And what this group is that I just have met so many amazing women that have opened up to me and shared their struggles, but their successes. And I asked them, can we just share these? Can we share these stories? Because you have inspired me. And honestly, everyone has a story in them to share to heal someone else because it frees you and it heals others. And so it started a year ago. And so I just had 2 of my Women with Voices groups. We just have women, speak. We keep it to a small group and we really just see an ocean of healing. And so I told myself I could just let this knock me out and ask for my job back. But I said, no, I'm going to continue what I love is building up women. And I told myself, okay, Sandy, that's your heart. Now, how are you going to make, support yourself? And I thought, okay, great. I'm seasoned, right? I mean, my entire life has been sales, PR, networking, sponsorship, sales, and sales, right? And I thought when I moved to Omaha 5 years ago, sales are coming back. Like it's not really sales, it's building relationships. And I saw a lot of that coming back. And I think the pandemic really made a lot of people lonely and people are starving for connections. And that's what I love to do. And so I started my Power Up Leadership Coaching Consulting. And I just inspire women to get together, to find their special niche, their greatness and embrace their flaws and just take them here and then fly out to be just who they are meant to be. And so really, I just empower women because I just want them to have what this world has to offer, and it's just too much amazingness not to help each other out.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you think that your courage comes from? Because so many people, when they think sales, they immediately think, "Ugh, I gotta talk to people. I don't want to do this. Social anxiety. I still get social anxiety at networking events. You're the networking queen. I actually hate networking because I don't know, like small talk actually makes me more nervous than like having deep conversations. So like how did you just become the master of this? And what's your advice for people that are like, mm-mm,
This is
not
so
going to
great because
that
I
thing,
did
not
a
happening. Like, I'm terrified.
free five keys to secrets of connecting. And I tell everyone I grew up in a small town and my parents had a restaurant. It was Lee and Carol Specialty Hut. And my two older brothers were in the kitchen with my papa, and my two sisters, older sisters, were in high school. They were waitressing, and then that left me and my twin brother. So on Sundays, we were in second grade, and I wanted to fit in. I wanted to help. And so we would bus tables on Sundays. And I giggle because my twin brother and I are totally opposite. And what you could find me doing is sitting at those tables and listening to all these great stories. And he didn't mind because he'd rather be busy. You know, everyone has their talents. And I always say that I found my voice in that little specialty hut because people are so unique and so special. And if you would just stop to listen, that is just amazing information, and it just really fuels me. And so I tell people, when you go to network or you go to sell something, especially in sales, I just want to bring sexy back to sales because my entire life has been sales. And it's
Hmm.
okay to sell because what you do is you're giving a product, a service, a product that helps someone out. You're not bothering them, you're helping them, right? It's like a good pair of jeans. If you have something that's great and you're like,
Hmm.
that could help you, why wouldn't you share that? So it's not a burden, it is a gift. And to open up to
Yeah.
these, customers, strangers,
Mm.
whoever, first of all, it's less about you and more about them. Because when you listen to them, you can find out what they need, connections they need, the relationships they need to build on, the groups they want to be a part of. And then if you have a product, great, here it is. But if you don't, it's placing a seed in that person's brain. So when they need something or need your services, products, that they come to you and they refer you. So it's really about just being a friend. It's about doing what's right and helping
Mm.
people out and having fun learning about people.
Yeah. I think what is so special about you, Sandy, is that you have a like supernatural way about you of seeing like playing the long game. And I think so often people actually really cut themselves short because nowadays everything is so short attention span, so microwave, so everything that they don't think and you also do it from a really humble perspective where you're not just giving to get. So could you talk a little bit about like how did you develop that? Was it from being from a small town? Like because I think a lot of people don't have the mindset just to really see beyond like, well, what's in this for me right now? Well, I'm not going to go to this. And you are so good at, that seed might come to fruition 5 years later, but you're so good at that. So can you talk a little bit about that?
That's so interesting because I was in retail management. I had district stores. I had 6 stores, 125 women throughout the state of Nebraska, and I recruited managers. And a lot of times, what I saw in people when I would go recruiting or when I would train them in sales is that you don't have to be my personality. Like, I am just like a magnet. I want to know everything about everyone. But if you look at it, like, I want to know more about this person, about what makes them special, then it's more like a friend and not being a salesperson. And so when you take your guard down and you just
Yeah.
look at them as someone in the grocery store line or someone that you're sitting at the baseball game next to, it helps you realize that it's not hard. You just be yourself, be you, and just open up. And that relationship, people can sense a fake person a mile away. They can sense if you're starving for a sale. But if you're just you and just be you, you're going to attract to the
Yeah.
people that you're meant to attract to.
Absolutely. So, talking about starving for the sale, I think what I've heard from a lot of people on social media, and just I know even in my journey when I was broke as a joke starting out, that was really hard for me because I was like, okay, that's great. Detach yourself from the result. Like, don't be starving for the sale. Or people, I heard someone call it commission breath the other day, and I was like, that is genius. I was like, I'm stealing that, man. But when you're looking at like it's the end of the month and you're like, I don't know, I got more month than money. Like, how do people develop the stamina when reality is hitting you in the face and you're like, but I do need this money? Like, yeah, great. Like,
I
I do
love this
actually need
because
this. Like, how
I
have
was
you navigated that in
100%
your life?
commission pretty much my entire life. And I was divorced, a single mother, but I
Wow.
never looked at it. I had goals, and you have to sit down, you have to find your prospects, you have to find the gatekeepers. I mean, there's this, a simple roadmap to do that, but it starts months prior. You cannot wait that month, you cannot wait that week. This starts out
Mm,
months ahead of time building those relationships. So when you build those relationships and you have the right,
mm,
contacts, connections, you're not stressed at the end of the month because you're like, okay, I have this proposal. I sold, cable television,
mm,
TV advertising forever. And I have this promotion or this proposal, and I think, wow, who would this help? Who would this be good for? And if I didn't have those relationships for months priors, years priors, I couldn't be able to go out to them, call them and say, hey, I have this NFL package. I think it would be great. It's your demographic. I think it would really get people into your dealership. Then it's not so stressful. But if you never build those bonds and those relationships, you're uncomfortable picking up that phone when that promotion comes in because they don't know you. They don't know anything about you. They don't know anything. And so
wow.
you're nervous and you haven't built that relationship. So if you just build, it all is relationships. If you build those relationships,
Yeah.
those moments don't come. I mean, yes, you might have something, but sometimes you'll lose, right? Sometimes you can't make that month. But guess what? You start over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that is so wise. I've never thought about it that way. Like the time to make relationships is today, but the time to try to sell to those relationships is not today. Like you don't make the relationship so you can sell to somebody. You make the relationship, and then when the right opportunity presents itself where you're like, this would be perfect, then sales is actually about service. And that's how you maintain the relationships rather than, again, having that commission breath where people can, you're absolutely right. I felt it, you felt it. It's like you're only here, you're only serving because you want something. And it's just like, yuck, you know? Yeah, absolutely. So, what are some other leadership things? Because you help a lot of women in their leadership, and obviously, only 33% of the sales force in the world are women. For whatever reason, and so some of that ties, I think, to the status quo, certainly, but also just like confidence and leadership and women not having a lot of role models. I think in positions of influence, and so when you're coaching people on leadership, do you have core tenets or things that you have found are milestones that everybody needs to walk through, everybody needs to have that produce inherently more leadership in their life, confidence, things like that, that you find
Yes,
yourself
I love
teaching
this.
most
It's where my
people?
heart is. It's really giving a coach or a cheerleader. I've been a cheerleader my entire life for chambers, non businesses, people. And everyone needs somebody that believes in them, right? When you don't have that person that believes in you or that coach that can help you up, it's all about helping someone feel good about themselves and confident so they can just take on the world. So there's steps and there's tools and obviously techniques that I can share. I have a masterminds course coming out that I personally put together a yearbook about branding, niching, prospecting. But all it really is I tell my women is that it's confidence building, because when you have that confidence, it doesn't matter what you sell. You can sell ice, you can sell anything. But when you have the confidence in yourself that this product is going to help someone, it's not a hard thing to do. But if you're not confident, you feel bad about yourself, you can't, be sunshine and happiness, which you're not always that. But game on, sometimes you have to force yourself because we all have bad days. But if you A, love what you do, B, confident in yourself and you're happy within, things are easy for you.
Yeah. I think some people would look at you and say, well, I'm not Sandy. Sandy is a ray of sunshine. Sandy is this person that just walks into a room and everything, glows. And I think sometimes people can put leaders on a pedestal when they're like, well, that's really easy for you to say because you're Sandy. So, what are some of the things that maybe people haven't seen that you've really put in the work towards becoming this connector, this confident leader, this ray of sunshine that maybe would surprise people, but really you're like, no, I had to work on this. Like, here's how I made myself
Humble.
into the leader that I
I've
am
had a
today.
lot of, setbacks. I've had a lot of managers that were extremely tough on me. And I look back now and I think, wow, they really taught me things. But you don't have to be perfect. You just be you. And so no matter what you go, yeah, I have 30 years experience in
Mm,
people, sales, advertising, marketing. But the whole thing is I loved what I do. And so sometimes I tell people, you have this job,
mm,
it's great, you make a lot of money, but do you wake up loving it? Because if you don't love what you do, it's not ever going to come through for you. You can make money, but you're not going to be happy. And then it shows. It shows. And it just takes practice. It's funny. I had a good friend of mine that worked at Cable One TV advertising with me. And she was really good with emails and computers. And when we had to write scripts and put in programming for our commercials, I would be like pulling my hair out. And so she helped me with all of that. And then I helped her to go network, hit those chamber events. And I told her it's a half-hour event. Just fake it till you make it. And then she's like, okay, you're right. I hate this. I
mm,
don't like people. You can do anything for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And then gradually she's like, oh, yeah, I kind of like people. I can't do it more than an hour, but it's all about those baby steps of what you're uncomfortable with. Sometimes become comfortable.
mm. Yeah, that's really good. Do you have any kind of like a morning routine or like mental, emotional, spiritual kind of practice that has helped you throughout your life to stay grounded and encouraged? Because, like, we pour out a lot, especially as women who are usually wearing 17 hats at once because we're also mom and wife or,
I'm
caretaker.
a
So,
very
what are some of
faithful
those things for
person.
you?
I have survived a lot of things that I can't talk about, but God is my front and foremost. I wake up with my readings. I wake up journaling. I try to go to mass every day out of the week. I'm that faithful Catholic. And I tell people I don't care what religion you are. It's the same God, but God is the center of my life. And I would not be here today,
Mm,
honestly. And I'm so blessed. And I tell people that this world is beautiful and the universe is all from God. And if you just let go and let God honestly take the wheel and you do what's right and you try to love on people
mm,
and do more for them than yourself, it's amazing how just God graces you with just everything. And it's not always easy. And I can relate to a lot of wounds with this group of mine. I just really can't share it. And so my passion is that women that can have a voice, I will give them a
mm,
platform to speak because not everyone does, but it's all God every day.
mhm,
If I had to deny him today
mhm,
and take my life, I would do it. I am that faithful because he saved me.
mm, mm, mm. Absolutely. What is your message to women who might be in a similar situation of as much as you obviously can share, but what is your message of encouragement to them that if somebody is just feeling stuck in their life or maybe silenced in any way, maybe the answer to that is community, maybe the answer to that is faith, but what are some of the things that you would encourage that person to do to take one step towards feeling like a human again, or having any sense of control when
The
their
first
life's
thing
totally
is
out of control.
you have to acknowledge that something needs to change, job, professionally, personally. Because once you acknowledge that, you're a step closer to that step. The second thing is knowledge is power. Audiobooks saved me. I think you find the resources that fit you as far as
Mm,
faith, community, friends. And sometimes you need to realize that not everybody wants you to do better or be better or take that leap because they want to be in the same ugliness or the same stuck and they won't support you. That it's so important that you
mm,
find your tribe, your people, your the ones that will support you. And sad, sometimes you have to let people go. And for you to go forward, you have to start, acknowledge, take
mm,
that step, find your resources, have a goal, and just do it. You have to do it.
hmm, hmm. That's so amazing. And I think that there are so many women that they're exiting a season or they're in the middle of a season. And I know that I've been in those seasons in my life where literally like they can't see a way out. They believe that they have zero choices. And I know that you certainly felt that way in your life. How did you manifest the courage to make that first step? You said, hey, it's all about taking that first step, making a decision. Like maybe there are people listening today that are like, man, maybe I just feel stagnant in my business. I'm stagnant in my relationship. Maybe it's not even something dangerous or whatever, but they're just like, I don't know how to take that first step. What would be your encouragement to people to get going again when they
I
feel
would
like
say
there's
that
no way?
you really need to just realize that no one's going to do it for you. Like when someone's smoking back in my 20s, everyone smoked, no one smokes anymore.
Mm,
But tell people you can't take that cigarette out of someone's mouth. They have to take it out. You can't decide to leave that bad relationship or stop that bad eating or stay in that horrible job. Only you have to decide. And sometimes you hit rock bottom. Sometimes something happens that you have no choice. But the main thing is to know that you're worth it and you can do it, but you have to do it. No one's going to do it for you.
yeah, so beautiful. I love that. I love the name of your group, Women with Voices, and obviously I've gotten to interact with some of the amazing women that are there. Do you believe, and I want to ask this on purpose. I know the answer, but for anybody listening who might be in a different situation, like do you truly believe that everyone has a voice regardless of if they've even maybe accomplished success? Like does
Absolutely.
everyone have a voice or not?
Everyone has something that they can share that's going to help another human being. And every event that I have, I
Mm,
go up to that speaker and I said, "Did you see so and so? That's the one. That's why you're here today." Everyone has a story. And you don't have to go on a platform. You can write it, you can have coffee with someone, whatever you're comfortable with. But silence and shame and being quiet only hurts you. But when you open your mouth and you share, when and how you share, it's up to you, how you're comfortable. But my goal is like for instance, next week I'm talking to high schoolers in junior high about finding confidence now, looking at not today, high school, everyone's like, it's ending. I love to take young people, junior high, college women, and say, okay, we might have screwed up. We might have done this. It's okay. We're not perfect. It was a bad decision, but you are a great person. And so my ideal goal is to really work with young women in
mm,
junior high, high school, 20s, because sometimes those mistakes spiral you into bad decisions for years, and it doesn't need to be. So let's stop it. I just love to
mm.
work, especially with like young
Wow.
entrepreneurs. They took that leap for change. I'm going to start my business. I have this passion, but they're scared to network or start or take that next step. It's all about just finding what makes you special and don't worry about yesterday and don't worry about tomorrow, but we have today and let's just go do it.
Yes, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so many people don't have a parent speaking those things into their life. So it is so needed.
Yes.
I coach a lot of young women too in just the pageant sphere. And, usually if someone's doing a pageant, they do have the means to at least, have parents who are usually paying for that. So it's a different situation. But I hear stories from them all the time where they're just like, yeah, like my friend went through this and she experienced this. And I just think about all the role models that these young kids need, and the only role models that they have are what they can see on a screen. So I just think that's so amazing what you're doing, and everybody needs, like you said, that one person, even if it's a motivational speaker that they see one time. Like I remember I had somebody who saw me, who's a client now, who saw me almost 10 years ago when I was Miss Nebraska, and she was in like the 4th grade, and she's now graduating high school, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I saw you when you were Miss Nebraska." And I was just like, "How do you even remember that?" But 30 minutes, 45 minutes with somebody when it's the right message can change somebody's life. One question that I have for you is along those lines. You've raised children as well. You've walked through all the different stages of preteens and teenagers and hormones and all these different things. And I think right now, for everybody, regardless of your age, there is such a culture of we have to please everybody. We have to care what everybody else thinks about us. And, you've been through several different cycles, several different seasons that you probably would call this was this season and this was this season. These had different names, right? How have you navigated going through all the trials that you have and not everybody liking you all the time? Because when you're a leader, everybody has opinions. How have you done that to be somebody that's like, you know what? I don't care. Like, I'm me. And how would you encourage somebody else to start that journey of loving and liking themselves, even if they're receiving persecution from people that are like, you're a
You
piece of
can't
crap,
please
you know?
everyone, and not everyone's going to be your tribe, right? So many, especially women, we try to please everyone. We want to make everyone
Mm,
happy. We want to make sure that we just try to be liked by everybody. And it's impossible. You're not going to be liked by everyone, and you're not going to like everyone, and that's fine. We respect each other and we do what's right, but don't worry about the ones that will never be your people, because they will never be your people. And sometimes you have to take
mm,
criticism. We're not perfect, and I love when someone comes up and said, "Hey, what if you would do it something like this way or do this way?" And I'm like, "Great, I never saw it through your eyes. Thank you." You don't take criticism. Sometimes you need them, but you take it on just as an improvement for yourself, and then don't worry about the ones that you're never going to get. You're never going to be your people. They're never going to support you, and you just really try every time to take criticism, to take anything, and just try better. It's it. We're not perfect. No one's perfect. And we will never be perfect. Never.
yeah, absolutely. Last couple questions for you. So before we were airing, you were talking about how passionate you were about helping people find their passion and their purpose. Where do you think that that comes from for you? And what are some of the highlights of maybe a story or two that you could tell, or just in general, like what you typically coach people on to help them start that journey of figuring out like what
Yes.
should I even do
And
with
I
my
love
life,
that.
which
I
is
love to
obviously a pretty
speak
big
on that,
question.
especially to women, because sometimes we try to be something we're not, right? We see somebody that's successful or pretty or a nice hairstyle, or they're doing this or doing that. And I tell them, you have to find what's within you, no matter personal or professional. Because when you live, breathe, and live it, people see that. And they're like, wow, what makes her like be so on point? And it's because she's living her passion. And I try to teach and just help women find their passion, because sometimes they're not quite sure, like, what is my why? What's my why? And then we dive deep into your core values, your morals, what makes you happy, where do you see yourself, who do you want to be around, what do you want people to see in you. And a lot of times it's right inside. I have a fun template on my PowerPoint. It says, don't search for your why, it's right inside. But sometimes we don't see it.
Absolutely. I know that that was true for me. I always tell people like what I think blocks a lot of people's glow is that we live inside of ourselves. And so we don't think that we're interesting because it's all we know. When in reality, like we have to almost take the layers off, kind of like an onion. We have to peel ourselves back and be like, oh yeah, I went through that. Maybe not everybody has like come to the other side yet. Oh yeah, that was actually really hard. And I should give myself some credit for that. Have you found that that has been the case for a lot of the people that you're coaching, that you're like, hey, you're actually, this is amazing and this is not normal. And do you realize how strong you are? Or like, have you had those
What's kind
conversations
of
with people?
funny is that sometimes people don't want to look at their flaws. Like we're not perfect, and it's hard to say I stink at this or I don't do this. And I said that is what makes you special. We have to embrace the flaws too, because all of it makes you, right? And so you embrace the flaws, but I call them
Yeah.
uniqueness. And then you accept it and quit fighting it, right? And then we really can focus on what makes us unique.
Hmm. Yeah. That's so brilliant. It's so good. Well, last question I want to ask you. This has been so good. I know this is going to help so many people, Sandy. So thanks for being so open and just awesome. Is there anything else that you want to cover in terms of something really on your heart, or kind of knowing our audience of high powered, high achieving females? Just anything else that you feel like you should speak to them? And then in conclusion, just how people can find you, your website, things like that, where they can connect with you
I would say
further.
we all need a mentor, a group, um, your circle. Find it, find whoever it is. I know you and I do a lot of the same things, and we love each other because we're going to touch the ones we're supposed to touch. Competition is not competition. No matter what we do,
Amen.
we will embrace the ones we're meant to embrace. And so I tell there's so many coaches and so many amazing entrepreneurs. And I'm like, let's support each other and pump each other up because whoever we're meant to touch is who we're meant to touch.
Mm.
And so that's so important to me. And that's why I love my Women with Voices group. I just love to empower all of us. It's a safe space, I call it. And then the next thing is I want everyone to look within so they can share those talents and strengths with others. It's just so important, and to be thankful and gracious and write them down because we all have crappy days. We all have crappy days. And when you look at the little tiny accomplishments throughout that day, when you think you didn't get anything done, it's amazing because those tiny accomplishments make big accomplishments, right? Keep track of them and don't get bad and don't get upset
Mm.
that you didn't get what you thought you were going to get done. Because maybe that day you were meant to have that 2 hour coffee with that person and it
Mm.
enlightened your soul. And you can get back to those emails and they're there tomorrow, but that person is there today.
So good. I believe that with my whole entire heart. And amen, amen, amen. Okay, how can people find you? What's your website? How do you want people
Yay.
to connect with you? Because I
It
know
is
a lot of people will want to after this.
powerupbysandy.com. And Megan, you could probably share it in the link or something. And then my Woman with Voices is on Instagram and it's a
Yeah.
private group in Facebook, but just it's Women with Voices. I'm not sure what reach you have in Omaha, Nebraska, but I love to travel. I'm looking out and bringing this program to other cities to help other women start these because I think it's so important and impactful. And
Yes.
yeah, just social media. That's what's nice about it is just Sandy Spady on Instagram. I can share my links with you and DM me and hopefully if you're in Omaha, please come. We have a
Yep.
free hospitality sponsored happy hour at the Marriott Regency this coming Monday, which I think is the 17th. No, anyway, we can share that. But I try to do our second Mondays either a free workout, a free happy hour, because I really love to embrace our community. I'm really strong in the community of helping each other out. But just yeah, find me. I'd love to talk with all of you.
Love it. Well, like I said, Sandy is a super connector, you guys. So as you're listening to this, maybe you're not in Omaha, maybe you're somewhere else, but you know that you could leverage starting your own meetup or starting these different things or growing in your leadership or your mindset. Or maybe you just really feel like you connected with Sandy and you're like, man, can she mentor me? I need somebody like her in my life. Definitely connect with Sandy. Nothing would make her happier. Literally, this is what she does. And you guys know if she's supposed to be your person. So please reach out. And I would love nothing more than for a new Women with Voices to pop up in, Denver or Dallas or something like that, just from this podcast, because you resonate with Sandy's story. So make sure you go follow her. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.